The video you see here on the screen is the original that we all watched on the TV in the year 1969. But folks, you will not get this particular video from NASA today. The reason for that is they have disposed of it and replaced it with what they call a restored version. Anyone know the meaning of the word restored? Now, if this video displayed here on the screen is the original that we all watched on the TV and was genuinely transmitted from the moon, then why the need to change it? It should be maintained as first seen. Don't you all agree? Now, as for restored, which means back to the original condition, we haven't got that at all, because what we have today is not a restored version, but an altered version that doesn't look so ghostly. Now, here is where we come back to my sayings. Everything is done for a reason and a purpose. Nobody does something for nothing. So that begs the question, why has NASA disposed of the original and replaced it with an altered version? Well folks, the answer to that is quite simple. It is that the original you see here on the screen was greatly flawed and displayed evidence of fakery not realized at the time they made the film. Hence it had to go and be replaced with a flawless version. So let's take a look at it, shall we?
Okay, I'm going to leave that 1 foot up there and both hands down about the 4th rung up. There you go. Okay, now I think I'll do the same. For those who haven't read the plaque, we'll read the plaque that's on the front landing gear of this LAM. There's 2 hemispheres, one showing each of the 2 hemispheres of Earth. Underneath it says, "Here men from the planet Earth first set foot upon the moon, July 1969 AD."
I guess you're about the only person around that doesn't have TV coverage of the scene.
That's all right, I don't mind a bit.
Now, if it's about 3 seconds for 130,000 miles, then what would be the delay for the moon, which is about 350,000 miles? No time delay whatsoever means the video is fake. It was not transmitted from the moon at all, folks. There's your first point of evidence, and a lot more to come.
Columbia on the high gate, over.
Roger, the EVA is progressing beautifully. They're setting up the flag now. I guess you're about the only person around that doesn't have TV coverage of the scene.
That's all right, I don't mind a bit.
They've got the flag up now, and you can see the stars and stripes on the lunar surface.
Are you getting a TV picture now, Houston?
Neil, yes, we are getting a TV picture. You're in our field of view now.
Well, did you all hear that? Instant replies. No time delay between conversations at all, folks. Prove 100% fake, not taken on the moon. But let me tell you, whoever produced this film had no knowledge of physics whatsoever. What some idiot thought here was low gravity on the moon would mean slow movement, which is quite the opposite of what it would be. Gravity is a resistance to movement. Less gravity means less resistance to movement. So, this astronaut here would be not only running faster, but he would be jumping a lot higher. Plain to see, what they've done here, folks, is just videoed this astronaut running around on the Earth and then running it in slow motion into this film here. Proof of that is in his jump. Just look at his jump. The height of this astronaut's jump, folks, is no more than about 8 to 10 inches, which is exactly the same as it would be here on the Earth if you made the same jump. So there you are, folks. Now you can see why NASA decided that this original TV coverage has got to go. It displays too many errors. Okay folks, the next step to proving that the TV broadcast was fake, I'm going to show you some clips from another one of NASA's own videos. Now, for those not aware, NASA displayed 2 new videos in the year 1989. Now that's a long time after 69, isn't it? Now, these 2 videos are titled The Eagle Has Landed, Part 1, and there's Part 2. Just listen to this guy here from Grumman Engineering, folks.
This wasn't just another flying machine. This was unusual. It had not been done before. And I think there's something that many engineers respond to in the sense that it is at the forefront of knowledge and that there are risks being taken.
Now folks, take a look at this guy here. This guy must be one of the management staff for Grumman Engineering. And in the initial version of Part 2, this guy was describing how they made the LEM, how they tested it, and how they got it ready to go. But one thing he mentioned was, when we finished the LEM, all was ready to go, but we suddenly realized that it would not work. It was too heavy. We had to find a way to reduce the weight, and the only way we could do that was to remove the 2 seats and tell the astronauts they would have to stand. This dope here is trying to tell us that the LEM couldn't carry 2 seats, and yet when Apollo 15 came, they stuck a rover inside it. Now, let me remind you of that first saying of mine. Everything is done for a reason and a purpose. Nobody does something for nothing. Okay, got that in your head? Okay, the next step now, I want you to take a good look at this photo here. This is supposed to be Buzz Aldrin standing in the footpad of the Apollo 11 LEM when they landed on the moon. Okay? Now, this photo here, AS12-46-6729. This is where we have got Mr. Bean standing in the footpad of the Apollo 12 LEM. But let me tell you folks, I am going to prove to you that these 2 LEMs they're showing here, the Apollo 11 and the Apollo 12, are both one and the same. It is not 2 LEMs at all, it is just 1 LEM. And what they done was this. They first took a photo of this LEM from the right hand side of the ladder, folks. That's what they done first. They took a photo from the right hand side and they labelled it Apollo 11 LEM. Now, what they done with the other one, they just went around the other side of this leg here. They went to the left side, and then what did they see? They see this, and they take a photo of it from the left hand side of the ladder and labelled it Apollo 12. And I am going to provide the proof of that. Undeniable evidence, okay? Now, what I want you to pay particular attention to here is the ladder. Just look at the ladder, folks. It's not going all the way down to the footpad. It is cut short. It's cut about 1 meter above the ground. Okay? So, let me ask any of you now. Any of you know why they cut this ladder short? Why didn't it go all the way down to the footpad? Now, folks, over the last 5 years, not even the mentally insane idiot Bertie Slack has ever tried to give an explanation as to why this ladder is cut short. Now, you all know what I think of Bertie Slack? I've always considered him to be the thickest mentally insane psychopath on the planet. A couple of years back, there was another NASA nutcase, and that is the long-gone idiot Tweaker Head. Now, what Tweaker Head stated was they didn't bring it all the way down because it would get burnt up by the flame from the engine under the LEM. 1 minute they're telling us there's no dust disturbed, there's no crater because there's no flame, and this idiot stating that if the ladder had come all the way down, it would have got burned up by the flame from the engine. And he's failed to notice that between the ladder and the exhaust, we've got the LEM leg, and that is covered with mylar. I wonder if he is trying to state that this mylar is completely fireproof. Now folks, take a look at Buzz here, standing in the footpad of this LEM. He cannot bend his head down. If he was to jump down, he cannot see where his feet are going to land. And with this footpad being cup-shaped, don't you think there's a danger that he could have injured himself, twisting his ankle if he landed on the edge of it? Now, why create a situation where you're going to put the astronaut in danger of injuring himself? And besides that, he could have also landed on top of this wee little pink flamingo. Now what if he landed on the head of this little flamingo, folks? He'd have squashed him to death, wouldn't he? He could have then been taken to court cruelty to animals. Now folks, with the original TV coverage that was shown to us in 1969, you can see the astronaut slowly jumping down, slowly jumping back up, and slowly jumping down again. Now, on that TV footage, folks, you would not see this harness that this astronaut is using here. So what is he using on the TV coverage? Well, I'll soon show you what he is using on the TV coverage. But in the meantime, let me show you another clip from this video confirming what I said about the LEM being too heavy and they had to remove the seats. Watch for this next clip coming up.
Weight was critical. As the design developed from concept to hardware, the shape and structure changed in several significant ways.
When you compare these two models, the proposal model and the final version of the LEM, many of the differences that you see are the result of our desire to save weight on the lunar module. This proposal model had aircraft-style seats. We realized that we really didn't need seats in 0G or even 16G.
So there you are, you've heard it yourself, folks. Remember what I told you earlier on? That the original version of this Eagle Has Landed, Volume 2, where this guy, Tom Kelly, stated that the LEM wouldn't work unless they reduced the weight. And the only way we could reduce the weight, he said, was take the seats out. Now that is what made NASA take down that original version and re-uploaded it with his comments regarding the seats being removed, edited out. And here you can see, folks, in the original version 1, you can see he's mentioned the seats. There you are, folks. There's more evidence that gives a kick in the teeth for all the NASA numbskull idiots like Bertie Slack and Astrobrandt and Brian Pop Robson. So let's ask NASA now, how long, NASA, before you take down this Eagle Has Landed Volume 1 and edit out this mentioning of the seats making the LEM too heavy? How long are you going to do that? No, before you do that, NASA?